You're watching another Nerd Stalker interview.
Think we're live. Anyway, this is good. Good morning. This is Greg Gloria, aka Social Gray, on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Today, I'm pleased to talk with Nimrod Madar, the CEO of amazing Israeli startup, and I'm not sure if you call it a startup yet because they've launched actually their iOS app as of the end of last year, called GlassesOff, here on Google Plus Hangouts, live from Israel, by the way. So, as you know, GlassesOff has received great press over the last year, really, since they introduced their beta, and it's an app that actually helps people see better. And Nimrod will go a little bit into that. And they just released at the end of Q2, June, their awaited Android app. So a little about Nimrod. He's an MBA from the famous Babson College and has worked in many positions in entrepreneurial companies in Israel, and in the last 3 years at the helm of GlassesOff. So, well, good afternoon in Israel, good evening in Israel, Nimrod. Thanks for joining us here in Nursar Hill, live from Israel.
Great, thank you very much, Greg, and it's nice to be with you again.
Yeah, and, we had a good talk the last time. So anyway, let's just get into the interview and talk about the GlassesOff release for Android. So you introduced GlassesOff in the last year, and I think you got some pretty good traction on iOS. But kind of tell us the genesis of how you got into Android, and maybe some of the Android development things that you kind of had to step over.
Right. Well, obviously, as you can imagine, the Android world is a little bit more complex in terms of the fragmentation of devices. Now, I'm not sure that every developer would come up with the same challenges as we do, because while we're improving your brain by exercising your brain to actually process information much, much better, we have to present very accurate visual stimulus. And when you're trying to deal with the fragmentation of the Android world, then it becomes much more complex. We have to take under consideration various parameters such as the screen size and the screen density and also the processing speed and so on. So it was a very challenging task. Obviously, we had to test a lot of devices, make sure that everything is working correctly. As you can imagine, we're focusing on higher-end devices, so we're not trying to support each and every device out there. We also believe that this is, in any case, the target audience for GlassesOff. Now I can say with great confidence that after testing, dozens of devices and having thousands of users using the application, that the product actually works as good as we expected on the Android platform. We're very happy from that. We also took this opportunity to significantly, improve the user interface, because obviously we had a lot of users using the application over the last couple of months. We got a lot of feedback. We're always trying to learn more from our users, and I'm sure that every couple of weeks we'll also we'll have a new application out there trying to incorporate new feedbacks and trying always to improve the experience for our users.
What did you specifically learn, if you could maybe go into that, from the iOS world that you transitioned into the Android world, in terms of user interface?
Well, I think that the first lesson that was probably the most important for us is basically, I would say, the onboarding process. So I think that people need to really have a better understanding of what they expect out of the application, because it's really a unique application. It's a unique experience. It's not something that people are used to. And it takes more, I would say, walkthrough into the application and more explanation. And I think this is something that we have focused on in the Android version. Now, obviously, everything that we're improving in the Android platform is also going to be improved in the iOS platforms as well, because we're trying to come up with a similar application and a similar experience, at least as much as possible.
Now, did you have to divide up now your teams of developers into iOS specific, Android specific? I see a lot of companies doing that, or did you actually keep the team both iOS, Android?
Well, we're keeping the product team together, but in terms of development, because we're using native language, then we have different teams and different people working on the iOS and working on the Android platform. Obviously, they're all based in the same location, so they can share their knowledge and they can share their expertise. But basically, different people working on the iOS application and the Android application. Obviously, QA team is a similar team, and also, as I said before, the product, which I think is the most important part in trying to come up with the best experience and hopefully a unified experience, because we allow users to shift seamlessly between the platforms. So you can complete one session on your Android device and then a second session on your iOS device.
Wow. So basically, if I have a Samsung S4, S5, whatever that I take as my normal phone, but I use a tablet at home, you know, a iPad at home, I could actually seamlessly go between the two environments, huh?
Definitely. You can complete each and every session on whatever device you choose based on your comfort. You're using the same back office from our perspective, so it's the same user, and we're always adjusting your specific session for the device that you're going to be using in that specific session. So it's a totally free, seamless experience.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you released this at the end of June, I believe, from what I read and what I saw, and you've only kind of targeted certain high-end devices. So which devices have you targeted with this
Well,
application?
I would say that basically, all of the high-end devices are working very well for us. We're trying to focus on screen size, which is above 3.5 inches. So that's basically all of your Samsungs and Nexus and LGs. So I don't really believe that any of our potential user will have a problem because we're not supporting the device that he's using. And we're trying not to touch any of the very low-end devices because I think there's going to be a lot of performance issue there. And in any case, I think that the kind of customer that we're expecting to use the application in the first 12, at least let's say 12 to 18 months, is probably the more high-end users that are using better devices.
I see, I see. So you go anywhere from any of the Samsung 10-inch tablets all the way down to their phablets, as they call it, right?
Well, I mean, today it's probably a little bit difficult to try and differentiate between a tablet and a phone. So there is some kind of a convergence, and we're trying to focus on all of the high-end devices. So I
I see.
really assume there's not going to be any problem for any of our users to find a device that we're supporting.
So you guys have learned a lot from the iOS world. You said, like, in terms of the user interface, the onboarding process. I think that onboarding process, I think for any app, quite frankly, affects the user acquisition rates, right? So
Right.
you actually changed that quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I think that, obviously it's going to help the acquisition rate, but I think from our perspective, the most important thing to focus on is basically compliance. We're really trying to do our best to help users comply with the program in order to achieve the benefit that they can expect after using the application for a couple of weeks. And it's very important for us to make the process very, very clear for them, because obviously when you're trying something new and when you're trying a disruptive technology, there are always some barriers. And we really have to do our best in order to make sure that users understand exactly what the process looks like and what they can expect to benefit once they're going to complete the program. And I think that today the process is much better. Obviously, there are always things that we can improve and we can always change and we can always learn, both from our user and also from other applications out there. And we're always following, other very successful applications. And obviously, we're always encouraging our customer to provide us as much feedback as possible in order for us to better improve the application for future users.
Well, I think, with the Android world now that it's opened up for you guys, you're now serving the greater whole of the mobile market. So I think it's a great opportunity for you. So, if you go into the business side a little bit, from maybe your targets of where you wanted to be to where you are now, are you guys pretty much on track?
Yeah, I believe we are on track. As we've said in various interviews, what we're trying to do, first of all, is to make sure that the product is stable enough before we're trying to push it to hundreds of thousands of customers and users, because it's very important for us that people will have the best experience possible. And as you can imagine, going into a new platform, there are a lot of challenges. So it's very important for us to make sure that everything is stable, and then we can obviously try and push more on marketing. Now, it's obviously very natural for us to work in the US market, which is very close to us in terms of understanding the culture, understanding the people, understanding the language, but we're also trying to focus on international markets, and hence you can definitely expect to see more languages coming out there. And I think that now with the Android platform, it's also a very good bridge to basically penetrate new markets where the Android platform is even more I would say, popular than the iOS platform.
You now went from like I said, going from a different operating system. Now, is there any plans in localizing this in other languages? Besides English at this point?
Yes, definitely. This is exactly what we're currently working on, and I'm sure that in the next couple of months we're going to be launching at least one or two additional languages, and obviously we're always going to be researching, and when we have the opportunity out there, we'll definitely be releasing more and more languages. As you can imagine, we're getting a lot of requests from various countries and from various customers. Obviously, I think that the application is quite handy, even if you're not really fluent in English. So you can use the application, but we believe that localization is very, very critical, and this is exactly why we're currently working on at least two additional languages, and we're going to be doing that in the next couple of months.
No, that's great because I worked in Tokyo for a while, and I had basically an hour on the train to kill, and I would love to work on my eyes if I had an hour to kill on the train.
Right.
So,
obviously, Tokyo and Japan is a very great and very interesting market. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the first language that we're going to be launching, but
I
it's
didn't think so.
on our radar.
No, call me up when you're ready to do that. Anyway, we'll close off the interview. I appreciate this, your time. It's getting late in Israel. I know you want to go back to the family and stuff like that. So, let's talk about, how do they get a hold of your app in the Android world? I think you just go through the Play Store, right?
Well, the application is available today, as we said, both on the App Store and the Google Play Store. So all you have to do is just tap GlassesOff, and that's going to be the first application you're going to see out there. And as I said before, you can install whatever platform you want, and if you later on decide to shift between platforms, then it's going to be a seamless experience.
Wow, that's great. And how do they learn more about the GlassesOff application, your website?
Yes, definitely. I would suggest visiting our website. We have a lot of information there, both for users but also for experts. So obviously we're trying to divide that because if you don't really have a degree in neuroscience, it's going to be very hard to go over all the scientific research that we have out there. So we're trying to split everything to standard users and for the professional user, and it's very, very, very easy to follow that on our website. And also, obviously, we encourage you to go into our Facebook page. Again, it's just Facebook /GlassesOff, and you have a lot of information out there. And obviously, whenever we're sharing something new, then you're going to be the first one to know.
No, that's great. Well, anyway, thanks again, Nimrod, and thanks for your time. So that was Nimrod Madar of GlassesOff, creating a better vision for all of us through applications. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Gray Gloria, a.k.a. Social Gray on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there. Thanks, Nimrod. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks, and bye.